Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Been a while,
Yeah, definitely.
and a lot's changed since the last time we talked.
Yes, yep.
Not
Some
even
big,
just an album.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Big life things.
Yes, exciting life things. Well, let's
Yeah.
start with the album. So this one, I really, I always enjoy your concepts. You're such a great storyteller.
Thank
Um,
you.
but this one is a little bit more closer to home. Did you feel some different emotional feelings with writing this one?
hmm Yeah, we started writing it actually during the pandemic in the early 2021 because couldn't do anything else. So I sent the boys a couple of story ideas, and I said, what do you think about, one of these for the next record? And Phantoma was kind of the one that stood out, and we all agreed that it would probably be easiest to turn into a 10-track record. So I was like, okay, and I got started writing the story, and it was yeah, oh, it was like the middle of the pandemic, full swing. So um, I kind of had this pretty dark view of humanity and a dark view of the future. And, a lot of stuff was on fire. So it was a direct reflection of that, really. And, I'm a lover of science fiction and fantasy and in general. And, I love movies and comic books and video games and so all of that had a part to play when writing the story. But for the most part, it was just kind of the way that humanity treats one another. For the most part, whenever someone has different ideas or they're just different from you, we're just so consumed by that sometimes. So I just kind of wanted to play around with the idea of if AI became sentient and the way that humanity would react to that and how we would treat them. But I didn't want it to be just about, AI becoming sentient. I wanted it to be about Phantoma and her struggle. And because when she gains consciousness, she's surrounded by humanity in this metaverse setting. And so she sees every kind of everything, every corner of it. Basically, it's like showing up on Instagram and what would you think humanity's all about if that's all you had to base it
Oh,
on?
geez.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so she thinks that, it's something completely different from what it is. And when she realizes this, it's a pretty, you know, drastic revelation for her. And it's just kind of about her journey with becoming human fully to the point where what she thinks humanity is, and then sort of, transgressing into this what she realizes humanity actually is, and then becoming that as well, kind of against her will almost. So yeah, kind of a little bit darker tones, but
It's so
um,
good though. It is such a great depiction because I was like, this is like you are so great with yeah, the sci-fi especially, and of course the fantasy mixes in with that. But I when I started going through it, I was like, okay, well this is just so much more personal than the escape, that you guys
yeah,
usually do. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a choice to have a setting on this planet, this world as we know it here. It was more difficult to write, that's for sure, because it's easier to kind of just go off planet and talk about worlds and things that don't exist and just kind of come up with your own ideas and fly by the seat of your pants. But I wanted to write about the world as it was when I wrote the story, just kind of maxed out, turned up to 11, all the crappy stuff that we were doing, living our lives completely segregated from one another in our homes, living only online, you know, being ravaged by sickness
Mhm.
And climate change is becoming a problem. It's, I mean, it has been for a while, but it's really getting to that point where it's kind of like, okay, if we don't start doing something, just kind of all that's happening
Yeah.
around us, and just being like, what happens if if we do nothing, if we let all of this just go unchecked. So it was yeah, absolutely, kind of a lot of personal opinions
It's
buried in there. Maybe not buried, but I don't know. They're in there.
Yeah, well, I think if people are paying attention, and which people, I mean, are going to with your guys' albums,
Hmm.
and the collective seems to be when the tides turn for her,
Yep.
when she's looking like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's kind of it's like these two sides, humanity and AI kind, machine kind, robot kind. Um, and she wants both. She wants both worlds. And then both worlds reject her. And she's kind of like, well, what the heck do I do now? I can't, who am I without this humanity that I've created for myself, and, this kind of android robot kind that I have, um, affiliated myself with, or, kind of identified myself as. I'm neither of them. So where do I go from here? And it's what we all face in
Yeah,
our lives, these
right.
moments, and kind of who am I, and what's my place in this world?
Mhm.
Because it does, we do have this longing to fit in all the time, and this longing to be a part of something, and to um, but also to to stand out and be our own people, and to stand for something, and have a reason to be here. And I think what it is that Fantoma just kind of has this moment where she says, actually, you know what, none of that matters, because this is who I am, and I don't need them, and I don't need that, and I'm just going to be me. And kind of, it's funny that that happens, in Seeking Vengeance, which is the moment when she's also like, but also, by the way, you're going to pay for,
Yeah,
for what you did to me.
you're
But
right.
she's like accepting of who she is as a person, and then also accepting of what she has to do to get past it and to move forward.
Right. So, obviously ending with Blood and Empress, which is an incredible song. The last three songs, I mean, the whole album, of course, is incredible, but the last three songs just absolutely blew me away. It takes all when she does that shift, you feel the shift.
Yes, I'm glad. Woohoo!
Yes. Yes.
Because it's
Um,
definitely a moment. Yeah.
yes, I mean it's even if you're not even paying attention to the lyrics, you can feel it in the music.
Perfect.
So I assume that this is not the end. Are you guys going to be a continuation of her story in the next one, or do you know yet?
I mean, it's kind of, I left it open,
Mm-hmm.
but it is kind of the end of her story there. It's this moment where she's like, okay, I did it. Now what do I do? I have to like be the leader of all of these people? Like, oh crap. And and that's like, it's, yeah, it's like the moment of catharsis. It's the climax of the whole story. Um, but where it would go from there, I'm not too sure yet. So
Right.
it's kind of, I feel like the moment of her changing and growing as a person has happened. And so I just character, and my stories are always character based. Just character wise, I'm not sure where I would take her from there. But I didn't want to be like, yay, happy ending, the end,
Right.
because then, you never know. So maybe I might come back to it. I have other plans for the next one already.
Okay.
So that one's, I'm really excited about. It's gonna be different again. Um, but yeah, I didn't want to kind of make it like a hard stop, just for that reason.
Right, just in case. Well,
Yeah.
and plus you with the last ones created the whole D&D campaign out of it.
Right.
which leaving that opening gives you that opportunity for. I think you talked about comic books in the past as well,
Yeah,
things like that to bring those stories even more to life through different mediums.
totally. Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. I've got to I was working on the Apex graphic novel the other day, and I was just like, oh man, like there's so much that I've got to put in here. Um, it's gonna be, it's a big undertaking. So like doing one for Phantom is like so far in the future, but hopefully one day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. I think that's so neat. It
Oh,
gives
thank
so
you.
many other people opportunities to be able to really dive into the story, you know?
Right. If they're not fans of metal, then at least they can
Right.
maybe read a comic book.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You get to a much bigger reach that way.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Give It Up or Give It All. That song, it's so interesting because I do when I listen to your guys' music, it is such a, like, I love to read sci-fi and fantasy too. I love to read everything, as you can see.
That's
But
awesome.
those are some of my favorites because it's that escape, even though there always is philosophy that is built in within those. It
Hmm.
is still an escape. That song was seemed so personal. Like, I don't know if it's just like my where I'm at in life right now, but that song hit me really hard. Was that, if, and it's okay if you don't want to answer this, but was that song very personal for you?
For sure. It's I mean it's like I tried to write it so that others could identify with it, with whatever's going on in their life. And I had a lot of people come to me about songs in the past, and for them to say, this was, super personal for me because it was very reflective of this particular moment, or I listened to it at this point in time when I was having trouble with this or whatever, and it was uplifting for them, or kind of it helped them through it. And so with this song, because of what was going on with Phantoma at that moment, I purposefully wrote a song speaking to anyone that's at a crossroads in their life. And I'm gonna cry. Sorry.
I honestly, I felt like I was gonna cry even asking the question. So
I cried the first time I heard the song. Once
oh,
we
I
got the
love
master
that.
back, I totally was just like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know all that was in here.
Yeah.
um, but it's just like we're constantly fighting with ourselves over where we're supposed to be at, and like what's this path that I'm supposed to be on? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I, keeping up with expectations, other people's expectations, my own expectations? Am I doing what makes me happy at the end of the day? And like we're just constantly asking ourselves these questions. And I just wanted to write something that people could listen to and let them know that um, if you're struggling with this, just look within yourself. The answer is there, and you have the strength to do what needs to be done. It doesn't matter what it is. You can get through this, and you can lift yourself up, and you can move yourself forward. Don't look to anyone else. And, I mean, ask for help, of course, if there are things, that are outside of your control, like addiction, that kind of stuff. Absolutely. You need help with those kind of things. But with other things, you're stuck in a job that you hate, that is just sucking your soul. You can do this. Trust yourself that you'll find something on the other side that's better. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Those moments, I just feel like we feel so alone at those times. And I just wanted people to know that, that I've been there and we've all been there, and you're not alone. And that when you are alone, you are your own best friend, and you are that pillar of strength, and to, just have faith in yourself. You're gonna figure it out.
I love it. I love that. No, it was just perfect words again that I needed to hear now, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't expect it." And so it's and it's also like validity. And so between the tone and the words, I was like, "Uh-oh, I'm not going to make it through this song
I
without
know.
shedding some tears." And I didn't expect that, you know. I was like already so into the story and just really took me aback, but it's a beautiful song.
Oh,
You
thank you.
very much did what you set out to do. And I personally very much appreciate it, especially right now.
Oh, I'm
Um
glad. I'm really glad.
um So the big change in your life is baby. How has, I mean, you're, being a female in the metal world is thankfully seeming to turn its tides, but still, unfortunately, is not the easiest thing. Um, but then now you're a mom.
hmm
How have you been able to balance that? I'm sure that's probably part of the push and pull that you sometimes experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's changed everything, of course. Yeah, there's no time anymore. Um,
You start to wonder what you did with you're like, I had so much time before this. What did I
right?
even do with all that time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the emails just tick up and up and up on my, my little badge on my phone, and I'm like, no, I can't, I don't have time for this. But uh, but it's also been like the best and most amazing experience ever, and it changes you fundamentally, like not just physically, like big time physically, but yeah, like the very fabric of my being is different. Um, I care so much more about
The
kind of,
world?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so weird. Like every time someone starts talking about like what's going on in Ukraine or Gaza, I start crying because I'm like, the sake of the children,
Hmm.
like every time. And I just feel so much more, in tune with like every mother around the world. It's super weird, but also, I get it. And so that yeah, it's like a huge, and what's really crazy is that it's reflected in the album too, because I wrote the whole story in 2021, pre-baby, middle of the pandemic, like super dark place. And then I wrote the yearbook in 2023 after, having a kid, and my outlook on humanity is kind of like better. And so in the story, in the album, Phantom goes like full battle mode, and in the yearbook, she just kind of takes out the people that, she's very selective of who gets their dues. So that right there was like a big kind of a big change. Um, and she's much more um, what's the word, compassionate in in the story now after having had a child. So it definitely changed who I am as a person for sure. And like I still have these, like there's two sides of me always. There's a side that's like, we can do this. Humanity always figures it out. We're such a resilient species. Let's look to the future with hope. And then there's this other part of me that's like, we don't deserve this planet anymore. If we all go, what does it matter? It doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, our history will be, turned to dust, and maybe someday someone will find it. But what does it matter? That kind of thing. That's just like these two sides to me,
Yeah.
completely 100%. Even more so now
Yeah.
than before.
Yeah. I 100% identify with that. And maybe I don't know if it came with my son just turned 16
Oh
last
wow.
week. And
Wow.
so and so it's obviously the world didn't seem as chaotic back then. But even I mean I definitely have those two sides too. And it's like you see the good in people even more. And I don't know if it's that if you're looking for it or if it's just that comfort feeling of being mother or you just need it to be that you need it to be
Yeah.
that for them. But then there's this like what are we leaving for our
Yes,
children to
exactly.
and that's the scary part that's hard not to go into that dark side of thoughts.
Totally.
And you want to shake people that like make jokes about these important things or that don't think that they're real or you
Yeah.
it's you want to shake them.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You just kind of want to, yeah, I don't know, like inflict the whole world with this new kind of found consideration that we have. It's
Right.
like, how come, why don't you get it? Like, God, all of these human lives matter.
Yeah.
what did like and all of the stuff that we're fighting about doesn't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just yeah. Yeah.
When
It's
you're able to separate yourself from the emotional aspect of things, it's crazy. It just
yeah.
feels so crazy,
Yeah,
all of
it
it.
is. It really
Yeah.
is crazy. Yeah.
I like how you have taken and I'm going to quickly address the AI thing because I think you guys got run through the ringer for absolutely no reason. You guys were very transparent. I think the story, you used a medium to make the story come alive that much more because that's what it's about, and people were very unfair in my opinion,
Hmm.
um especially with your transparency. um is that something that has weighed on you guys, or have you been able to just be like, you know what, we did what the character needed and what was important for the story, and if you don't get it, then fine.
No, it's definitely it's been a challenge, and it will, I think, always be forever from now on. Um, and that sucks. But it's also understandable. Like I completely get where artists are coming from with this. Um, I personally am not the kind that is going to go on the internet and attack people for their creative choices. So that really kind of was what took me aback for the most part, is that people weren't just, oh, well, this is wrong and here's why. It was like just unnecessary hatred
Torch and
almost.
pitchforks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there were quite a few people that were, that were reasonable about it, and that's fine. But there were some that just, um, it seemed it didn't even matter. It didn't, none of it mattered. It was just the mention of AI, and all of a sudden we were blacklisted.
Hmm.
So it was just kind of like, well, wait, can we just explain ourselves here? And but they didn't want to wait. They didn't want to hear about it. So that's fine. Um, and I can understand, anger about this because it is changing the landscape big time, huge. We were just watching a video the other day, and Scott's a software developer for his day job, and there's a program out there that is going to write code for you. So it could replace him, like that. And we get it, but it's being like touted as this tool for like you don't have to sit there and write your code all day long anymore. And it's like, you mean companies don't have to hire developers anymore? But anyways,
Right.
so I get it. We totally 100% understand. It was just the way um, that it, that some decided to go about it, that it was a little hurtful, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah. But what are you gonna do? It's the
Right.
internet.
All
It's
right, right. Well, and that's the duality of it all, anyways. And the people that, not only your supporters, but the people that take the time to understand what you
mhm,
guys were doing are gonna get the creative side of things instead of
mhm.
hammer down on you. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So,
you just kind of have to. We've always had a really supportive core group of fans who we love, and we're happy with that. We're good. We don't need to be famous. We just want to have our fans, and play for them and make music for them.
well, you definitely have a die hardcore, and I think that, I mean, every day you're getting more and more, and it's very well deserved. I know we only have a few more minutes. I want to quickly do self-care. What are some things that you do for self-care?
Lately, nothing.
You're like, I'm a new mother. I don't have time for self-care.
I take an extra long shower.
Yeah,
Um,
that definitely is. It absolutely is something, especially.
um, Well, we've been playing disc golf recently,
Oh, nice.
so Scott and I. So which is really nice because you get outside,
Mhm,
you're out in nature. We
mhm.
get his sister to take care of Len, and we kind of have this, couple hours alone together where we can talk and do something slightly sporty and get some exercise and some sun and some fresh air. And that's kind of really been we try and do that at least once a week.
Good.
if not, every other weekend kind of a thing. So that's kind of really been where it is mostly. I'm trying to get back into working out, but I just like haven't been able to find the time. So, which is frustrating because, those 30, 40, whatever, 50, sometimes an hour minutes in the gym was kind of where I would have my brain all to myself.
Hmm.
And those are the moments when I would always come up with ideas and stuff. And I love running on a treadmill because I can just kind of turn my brain into auto mode and don't have to think about like what my body's doing. And I literally just escape like into my mind. And that's where I come up with, stories for albums and ideas for the music videos and, stage clothes or whatever, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of where I do that, and I haven't had that in a long time. So trying to get back there eventually.
Yeah. And you will. I mean, it obviously takes time and those first few years are very exhausting. And I swear baby sap every ounce of energy. I keep telling my son, even at 16, I'm like, you better have really good memory and a great amount of energy because you've taken all of mine.
Yeah, right. Where did all that go? Can I have it back?
Yeah,
Give it
yeah.
back.
Siphon it
Is
back
it a,
from him.
is it a reservoir in there somewhere? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, it's true. It's true. But I always am just constantly trying to be like, it's okay. Like, she is so worth it. It's not even funny. So just take it all. Like, you can have it. Yeah.
And it gets so much easier. I mean, babies are amazing, but they're tough and it
Yeah.
does. It gets so much easier.
Yeah. Good.
But
That's good to hear because everybody else says that it doesn't.
I definitely disagree. I love babies, but I
You're like,
would
I'm done
not
with
go
that.
back to that quickly.
Good to know. Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes, yes. You got this. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Congratulations on the upcoming release. It's another incredible, incredible album. You guys are just killing it.
Thanks, Nika. Appreciate that.
Yeah. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.